Hey, Greek Freak Trainer here. I'm reviewing Jeff Cavaliere's Athlean-X 8 worst exercises ever. Let's get to it.
Again, never had one single injury. Oh, shit. You have a better option, and that's the case with all these exercises. This is a different exercise altogether in terms of how it feels and what it does to your shoulder joints, and this is a high pull.
Jeff is great in the clinic, but I've spent 40 years in the lab training pro Falcons players and athletes. Being safe isn't the same as being strong. Today, I'm showing you why these 8 exercises aren't the problem. The advice is.
So the first one he gave you for an option is a high pull with the dumbbell. You're coming like this, but nobody does that exercise for a high pull. You're not really able to go up in weight. You might as well just do a bent arm lateral raise. If you want to make gains, you got to go up heavier loads over time to get the muscle. And the Olympic bar high pull is the way to go. So you're going to grab it like this, a little wider to hit more medial delt growth. And then when you come down, you're hinging like an RDL. When you come up, you're going to couple, come up in the balls of the feet, and then drop right back to the heel. That's called couple. Only bringing it to the bottom of the pec with a little hop.
Chest fly? Come on. If it's good enough for Arnold, it's good enough for me. How else am I going to build those big old bitties? Just like my boy. Arnold! Oh, God, get me to the medical chopper! Your shoulder is placed in a much more vulnerable position, particularly the anterior shoulder capsule. You could stand up, do a cable crossover, actually use much more weight, provide more overload in that stress position, but do it much more safely.
Jeff loves the cables for safety, but I can argue that for a 100% natural lifter, the weighted stretch of a dumbbell fly builds a chest plate that cables just can't touch. I have 2 killer examples that would get you sick gains like Arnold.
The flies, he's right. They can put the shoulder in vulnerable state, but it's all about the stretch. You don't have to go wide. You can just stretch the dumbbells like this. As we're coming up, you're coming underneath the bottom, supinating. You see how my elbows are still out? It's a great exercise. You can go heavier loads on dumbbells. This version is okay, but he's doing, that's more like a dumbbell press. On the fly version, this would be your best bet. So when you're coming down, you can get a really good wide stretch coming up and then squeeze. Now you're not in that vulnerable state. So I would replace that one he was saying straight out with this one.
Or a Russian twist.
Who is this guy?
But there's no better exercise for my shoulders than a Cuban press. I don't know who thought it was a good idea to combine a basic compound lift like an overhead press with a corrective exercise, because it's just not necessary. As a matter of fact, you're better off doing just a regular shoulder press, and then of course something like this, which is just a basic external rotation with a band.
In performing the Cuban press, Jesse actually performed the shoulder press unsafely. So I have performed the correct path on how to do a shoulder press with dumbbells for progressive overload.
It's kind of stupid to involve rotator exercise with shoulder press. When he's doing that exercise, when he presses it up, he's like this, in the safe zone of a shoulder press, not here. And a real shoulder press be this angle. So now it's safe on your shoulders. You can go up, do progressive overload without trashing your shoulder. External rotation, obviously he is a physical therapist, but coming from someone who's had shoulder issues in the past, best way to do the external rotation, you want to put something under your armpit, stabilizing the joint capsule. So if you really want to strengthen your rotator up fast, this is how you would do it. You'll strengthen it way faster.
When we're doing that Cuban press anyway, you're getting just a little bit of resistance or stimulation of the rotator cuff into external rotation just in the very, very beginning of the exercise. Whereas if we do something like my favorite exercise, a face pull, you can see that we get resisted external rotation, not just in the beginning, but all the way through the range of motion. And we can actually add an overhead press component, but not for the sake of trying to build bigger shoulders, because again, you can handle that with heavier weight on its own. This overhead portion of this actually stimulates the lower traps.
By dropping the cable to a lower setting, we can change the angle of the pull to stimulate more muscle growth.
One thing I would suggest, putting it a little lower, create more tension, and then when you pull back, pull your elbows past your ears. You can still do the press, but I wouldn't combine those together. We'll just do the face pull. And again, lower, gets more tension, pull back. You want to push your elbows past your ears to really get that good contraction in your trap. It's actually going to hit a lot of medial delt too, so this is a great one to do.
Military sit-up. Keep your feet anchored underneath something to help you get those 1,000 reps real easy. It's God, my back.
This is why.
Oh, anchoring your feet under something does two things you don't want it to do in a sit-up. Number one, it takes away a lot of the work from the abs. The second thing it's doing is that when you do engage the hip flexors like this, you start to pull on the lumbar spine, yanking your back into positions that lead to low back pain.
Jeff is worried about the lower back, but I've trained pro fighters whose core is so strong, sit-ups never bothered them. It's not about the movement, it's about the strength of the armor. I'm showing you more effective alternatives that'll build the core up, that are unbreakable.
Jeff, I like you, bro. You're overcomplicating. Straighten your legs. Don't try to hook your heels behind. I don't want to be getting any hamstring work when I'm doing my abs. You can do it without. No strain on the back. Or weighted. Or feet at like 90 degrees. Awesome abs. Great exercise.
You know, nothing builds my traps, my deadlifts, or my Instagram followers like a nice heavy set of rack pulls. Oh, I can't feel my fingers. Because there is something that you should be concerned about when you do a rack pull, specifically at a height above the knee. Because what you're going to get is a lot of thoracic forward rounding. So what would you do instead? Preferably performing a regular deadlift from the floor, or if you're trying to use this as an accessory movement to improve your lockout on the deadlift, then just make sure you're lowering it down a little bit more, like below the knee.
Jeff's view, above the knee causes thoracic rounding and nerve issues. He's calling it dangerous, I'm calling it overload. To build a natural thick back, you need to handle heavy weight. The rounding only happens when you lack discipline. Either way, I've got a great alternative for you. Let's check it out.
The conventional deadlifts are great, but if you want a variation that really strengthens the posterior chain, go to the RDL. Basically, you're going to hip hinge, head's going to be looking down, and then you're going to pull it up like a hip thrust coming from here. Hinge, lower back, hamstrings and glutes. Still activating the same muscle group. Everyone always tries to bend their knees when they go down. Hinge, stick your glutes out like you're pushing to the wall. And you come down and stretch, pull it up with your glutes.
Nothing cranks my wanker like a nice heavy one-arm dumbbell row. Nothing better for building the lats one side at a time, and no risk to my lower back. Oh, my balls. My balls. All you have to do is just simply raise the bench up to this position here and perform it with both feet on the floor in this tripod row position to decrease any risk there is from a hernia on the exercise and instead get all the benefits in a much more comfortable way.
Jeff likes the tripod stance for safety, but when you're pulling up 100-pound dumbbells for that Greek statue thickness, you need room to move. I'm a fan of the split stance. It gives that heavy weight the space it needs to travel. And it provides a deep natural stretch you just can't get his way. Here's how a pro rows for real mass.
No, arm row, he's exactly correct. The only variation I would do, I wouldn't do it like this. I would do it like this. You could even put your arm like this or hand. And then it really opens up more range for the pull. You don't want to be using your leg. Again, if you want to stand up high like that, I kind of like doing it like this, or one hand here. Now it's all ISO on the lat. Split stance to open up more range, more dumbbell width, especially when you start going heavy. You get those thick ones here, it's going to be hard to get it up.
Nothing gets me loosey-goosey before a run like a nice stretch.
Who's this guy?
I'm really feeling it in those hamstrings. And don't worry, Jeff, I'm not getting hurt doing this one. No, Jesse, you shouldn't get hurt doing that stretch. At the same time, you probably shouldn't be doing it either. Because doing a static
You shouldn't be on the channel, Jesse.
You gotta do something more active. And in that case, you would do something like a leg swing rather than a static hold. And a leg swing gives you the opportunity to not just get your dynamic flexibility through your hamstring, getting external and internal hip rotation at the same time, making it far more functional. As far as that static stretch, whether you do it standing here like this or down on the floor, this is just working on your low back and not really even engaging or preparing your hamstring at all. Not one to be doing before you go out for a run. Save those static stretches for the right time. Do the dynamic ones like the leg swing when you actually want to warm up.
Jeff is showing you the clinical stretches, but in the NFL, we train for power. When I trained the Falcons, we didn't just stretch, we primed the muscle. Neither of his opinions target the hamstrings like the ballistic movements we use to prep for elite speed. Here's how a pro actually prepares to run.
One of the best exercises you can do before you go running is called ballistic stretches. So again, the Frankenstein walks, this is probably the best one. You can do it in place, you can walk forward. And again, this is going to loosen your hamstrings up for that run. So I would definitely replace that other one. The other exercise is decent, but this one really activates the hamstring. This one will more loosen up your hips, not really do much hamstring, and then you can even open up your hips and do the hip monster walks.
I don't care what anyone says. I love side bends.
Oh, if you're gonna do this variation, at least drop one dumbbell and work on one side at a time. But there's so many better things to do instead, like this side plank or any variation of a side plank. Or if you have to, you want to work on more of the rotation capabilities of the obliques, because that's what they do better anyway, then do something like this Russian row.
Jeff is showing you a seesaw and a basic plank. But when I'm training fighters, we need a core that can take a hit and deliver one. A static plank is just the beginning. I'm showing you the advanced high-tension moves that build a Greek statue midsection with real-world armor. These are the ones that actually count.
I'm going to give you some better ones. You got 3 variations. The advanced crunch, coming in. Again, you can put your hand on the ground for the option. Bring the knee in. And then third one you can do is a jack. So these are real advanced. So many obliques you can do here. You can go side, up to the middle, and down. Side, up to the middle, and down. Great oblique. And then the cross leg crunch. Feel any in your back, straighten your leg all the way to the ground. In between, let it rest. Do it like this for reps. And then go to the other side. High rep, really strengthen your core. Knee tuck in a plank. You can alternate. These are very beneficial for the obliques.
Remember to like, comment on exercise, and subscribe for more movies related to elite athletes. Opa!